Well,
I'd like to see a deal with Russia. As you know, Vladimir called me up. He said, can I help you with Iran? I said, no, I don't need help with Iran. I need help with you. And I hope we're going to be getting a deal done with Russia. It's a shame. 6,000 soldiers died last week. More, 6,500 soldiers died last week. Russia, Ukraine, a war that never would have happened if I was president.
see, now that's how it's done, isn't it? Instead of this.
I was chief prosecutor for 5 years, and one of the things that I learned then was if you're going to smash a gang that's driven by money, follow the money. So that small boats being stored or transported in Germany can be seized, disrupting the route to the UK. And it's a clear sign that we mean business. Through pretty well all of the international engagement I've done, all the meetings I've had, the country we've done deals with, we've done deals with countries in the last 12 months that many people thought it was not possible to do deal with when it came to immigration.
Yes, all very statesmanly, Keir Starmer escaping this country because of the mess he's making and then later admitting that he's taken his eye off the ball because of all the foreign away days. This is our press conference, Keir, should be. Opening the floor for almost 90 minutes to any journalist in the room who wants to ask the question.
You said that Europe is being crushed by mass migration. And
Immigration, Europe has a tremendous problem, and we do too, but we've sealed our borders. We have nobody coming in.
we have a lot of unhappy farmers in this country at the moment, and I'm sure the Prime Minister won't thank me for raising this. We've had changes to inheritance tax, which mean a lot of farmers feel they're going to lose their farms when they die or their father dies. How important are farmers to a country?
I love our farmers. As you know, in our tax bill, we have a clause that's very important. We were losing a lot of farms. They'd overextend and they'd lose the farm. And they'd commit suicide in many cases.
We're seeing that.
No. Our levels are nowhere near 50%.
They're not 50%, but the dissatisfaction is real.
As opposed to this, selecting questions from the chosen few who Keir thinks will give him an easy ride.
I'll take some questions. John. Beth. Thank you. Can I go to Chris Mason?
See what I mean? To say I was embarrassed this week seeing the two men, that's Trump and, of course, Keir Starmer, and I'm being polite here, together, putting it mildly, sadly, this is what we have come to expect in this country. Gutless politicians, public servants voted on a mandate to represent the British people, running scared when being challenged on their record. Here's a typical day in Prime Minister's Questions, although it might as well be called Prime Minister's Questions, No Answers.
Everything he has said this afternoon is total nonsense. Obfuscation, avoiding the question. He doesn't have any answers. It's disgraceful. I asked him, Mr. Speaker, about the two-child benefit cap. He's talking about the Kremlin. He's saying everything he can to distract from the mess he is making of our economy.
Here's our London Mayor running scared.
Mr. Khan, I'm a Westminster City Councillor. I just wanted to ask you on your thoughts on knife crime going up by 60% in the past 2 years. No, this is the Met thing. Knife crime 60% up, and you don't care. Nothing to say? Nothing to say? Nothing to say about knife crime going up? 81,000 phones stolen? Nothing, you don't care? If you want to write in, they say. Great. Mr. Khan, will you accept the debate for Nigel? He's being booed as we go inside. So I asked him, he wouldn't speak to me about a 60% increase in knife crime in our city in 2 years.
Pathetic, isn't it? I agree with Donald.
I'm not a fan of your mayor.
Why not?
I think he's done a terrible job. The mayor of London, but a nasty person. I think
he's a friend of mine.
Yeah, he's a friend of Keir's. Yeah, like Jeremy Corbyn was your friend, mate. You dropped him like a hot stone. It was cringeworthy. President Trump gave a masterclass in accountability, honesty and diplomacy. He shone a light on our pathetic, scaredy cat politicians who want all the notoriety and power but don't want to be held to account. God, it was so embarrassing. I can't stop watching Sir Keir Starmer kowtowing to Donald Trump on an international stage. Donald is everything he's not, and the British people deserve so much better. So joining me now to discuss my niggle, former editor of the Labour list, Peter Edwards. Peter, was I totally unfair, or did you feel that our great leader, Sir Keir Starmer, performed masterfully at that meeting in Turnberry?
I think a lot of what you said was a criticism of Westminster politics more broadly. You know, Britain's a smaller country than America. I think we've got so much to be proud of, but that's been the criticism for the last 50 years, that Britain's deferential towards America. That's probably not going to change. In terms of Labour's record, there are lots of things I think we've done that I really like. Setting up the energy company, Great British Energy, nationalising the...
To do what, sorry? What are they doing? Sorry,
to reduce our reliance on foreign sources of energy, to produce our own energy, and to ensure the public is better off as a result, because bills come down, and obviously some of the energy companies are foreign-owned, and you have companies doing quite well out of hard-pressed British households.
Are you having a laugh?
No.
Great British Energy, they've done nothing. They've got about 15 employees, I think, on the last count.
But it takes a while to set up a company. This is a start-up company now. It takes a year to set up a company.
They've only got 4 years in power, so I'd expect to see some things happening. And so far, I recall Ed Miliband trying to purchase a load of solar panels from China, which he then was forced to retract and not to do. So I'm not quite sure. And then we had the issue with Virgin Steel and the fact that we ended up with a Chinese owner owning a very important part of our infrastructure and then just wanting to waft off and leave us with nothing. And so far we've had the water companies who are basically poisoning us all, literally getting off scot-free. I haven't really seen anything of Great British Energy. What do they go? What's their point?
Well, Great British Energy has nothing to do with the water companies.
Well, no, but we're talking about energy and infrastructure, so I'm bringing it all in. I'm looking at it and saying, what have they done? I can't see an achievement that they have done in the last year.
Well, some of these things are going to take time. So you talked about infrastructure. So I think Rachel Reeves' infrastructure investment package across different industries is just over £100 billion in total. That's before you get onto the investment in the NHS, 40,000 extra appointments a week. Think about foreign affairs. The world's an incredibly difficult place wherever you look.
Now, but are you discounting the appointments that have been cancelled over the strikes? Because there's about 200,000 that get cancelled during the strikes, and the strikes have happened during their watch, and they handed out a massive pay rise to the doctors without any concessions, and now the doctors are striking again. I would say that they are part of now the problem of making the issue with the NHS worse.
I do think they're making it worse at all. First of all, within the first few weeks in office, just over a year ago, Wes Streeting settled the doctors' strikes. We had
handed out a load of money to the doctors with no conditions attached.
Every criticism you put, I completely understand. You've got to let me finish one answer. OK, let me finish. So, Wes Streeting settled the doctors' strikes. That was a popular thing to do. We all know that NHS productivity is lagging other countries. We need to get it up again. In terms of the next round of strikes, I think they're a bit misguided, because the junior doctors, they do a vital role, but they're asking for full pay restoration. And we've not seen that in other industries, and we haven't seen it in the private sector either. It's a reflection of Britain's wider, dire fiscal position that public sector pay has not always kept pace with inflation.
All right, what about Keir Starmer and the way he handles press conferences? There was Donald Trump there for almost 90 minutes, fielding open questions with an open conversation and not saying specifically who can speak, and enabling people to have a proper discussion. So by the end of it, we're all satisfied that we have had answers, we know what's going on, and we feel that there is a transparency. Keir Starmer, on the other hand, selecting Beth Rigby, Chris in the BBC, so often leaving out GB News, and these press conferences are very short, and we don't even get any real answers.
Well, I think a lack of answer from politicians, whether fair or otherwise, has been a complaint my whole lifetime.
But I'm comparing him to Donald Trump, who answered.
Try and let me finish one answer.
No. I will let you finish, but I'm being specific and I'm wanting an answer for that. So I'm saying, but Donald Trump was given specific questions he answered. Keir Starmer, on the other hand, answers anything.
Trump has banned some journalists from the White House, and there's no equivalent of Prime Minister's questions in America. Keir Starmer is critiqued very robustly by the House of Commons every week in term time. Trump doesn't have anything like that. Yes, Trump gives these occasional freewheeling press conferences. He's also occasionally very insulting to journalists. And of course, Keir Starmer has Downing Street press conferences, he has PMQs, and he has a liaison committee, just as Cameron did, just as Blair did. Whether you agree with what they're saying or not, but there's a model of accountability in Britain that is very strong.
Well, I don't see it. I see Sadiq Khan running away. I see Keir Starmer never answering any question. He's a master in obfuscation. And it's very disappointing. Peter Edwards, we're going to have to leave it there. Really good to talk to you. Thank you. Even though I probably did most of the talking. Right, now there's been more protests outside migrant hotels. GB News' cameras filmed a demonstration in North London earlier today. Locals in Leeds protested outside a hotel housing illegal migrants last night. In the meantime, a video which appeared to show illegal migrants being moved into the Britannia Hotel in Canary Wharf has surfaced. Well, joining me now, journalist Jack Hadfield, who's been following the protests very closely. So, Jack, what can you tell us about the protests? Which ones have you been following and what have you seen?
Yes, well, I've been at Epping, obviously the Britannia Hotel, as you just mentioned. I've just come back from the Thistle City Hotel in Islington, where Ben Leo was reporting for GB News earlier. That got a little bit tasty. There was Antifa clashing with police. It's the hottest protest I've seen so far, and it's not surprising to me that that kind of level of violence actually came from the left, where the protests I've been across the country, Norwich as well, down in Waterlooville, just north of Portsmouth. The people who have been concerned about these asylum hotels have been very peaceful. I was just in Stanwell near Heathrow Airport on Thursday night, where this was the first protest of that, because they've just discovered that this hotel has been turned from mixed-sex accommodation to single-sex, men only. So women and children have been moved out of there, and men are being moved into those hotels. So yeah, so I've seen it, across the south for the last 2 weeks, and it's been very peaceful overall, I will say.
Did you see, because there were reports of migrants taking pictures and laughing from the windows of the hotel, did you see any of that?
Yes, I did see that at the Thistle City today, and I've also seen, as you said, from the Britannia Hotel, the footage that came out from 1:33 a.m. last night, busing the asylum seekers allegedly into the hotel. I've been in touch with, I've been monitoring the situation from the locals there, and they've been sending more photos and images of, what appears to be asylum seekers at the hotel now, going on shopping runs. So for the past couple of weeks, they've just been protesting, trying to stop them come in. But it seems that, at least for now, the Britannia Hotel is now open for business.
What would you say could be a solution to this then? Because it seems that there's all these wonderful charitable people saying, oh, but the poor migrants, they've come from persecution and everything else. You must give them an iPhone and a lovely laptop and everything else. And I don't disagree with helping people in dire need. But then I think pampering people in dire need and giving them things that the people in the population can't afford right now, I think is totally out of order. What other solutions could you see?
Well, obviously, Keir Starmer and the government are stuck between a rock and a hard place with regard to these hotels to begin with. If they keep them open, more protests will simply continue across the country at different hotels. If one group of locals, starts getting a little bit tired with it, two more will pop up. And if they do close the hotels down, they know that, they've won. That's how you get these hotels removed from a community. In terms of solution of this, I think the problem is so many of the alleged asylum seekers that are here aren't really asylum seekers at all. Most of them are economic migrants. And a lot of them, as Trump would say, are not good people. They're bringing crime, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, that's what kicked off Epping, an Ethiopian asylum seeker who's now been charged with sexually assaulting a schoolgirl just in the middle of the street there. So, I think a lot of people that I speak to have no problem with assisting women and children, for example. But fighting-age men who are coming from countries that aren't at war and they're going through safe countries to get here, I don't know why they should still be here, if I'm being quite frank.
They've come here for the delights of the Britannia Hotel and all the other four-star accommodation centres that they're brought to. Thank you very much, Jack Hadfield. Really good to talk to you. He's been following the protests very, very closely. Appreciate it. Right, 21 minutes after 4 o'clock, a spokesperson for Tower Hamlets Council said, we are aware of the government's decision to use the Britannia Hotel in Canary Wharf to provide temporary accommodation for asylum seekers. It is important that the government ensures that there is a full package of support for those staying at the hotel. We are working with the Home Office and partners to make sure that all necessary safety and safeguarding arrangements are in place.